Welcome to the Nerdentials podcast, starring your hosts, Joe Tweedy, Matthew Johnson, Nick Thomas, and Lynn Dudgeon.
This last week right here, there was an issue that a lot of people were experiencing with their PlayStations bricking, pretty much. Like you couldn't power them on.
I've heard of that, yeah.
And the cause of it was a message being sent to them by another PlayStation user. But it was someone they were within a game with in either Destiny or Black Ops. And the kind of similar to DDoSing in the fact that it would kick you from the game and allow them to win.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more malicious in the sense that you wouldn't be able to turn your PlayStation back on and you'd have to factory reset and lose everything.
Dang, that's heavy.
And like it forced PlayStation or Sony to push an update, patch 2.6 point something.
Is that like their main operating system update?
Yeah, like a main firmware update.
Yeah.
To prevent this from happening to people. And Sony put out in their support that if you go to the phone app and you delete the message, it'll allow you to turn your PlayStation on. But once you're in, you have to block messages from users that aren't friends of a friend.
That sounds all sorts of complicated.
Right? But apparently with that update, like I'm saying, it's probably old news now, but it was kind of a big issue because people were losing like even things that they purchased, like through the PlayStation store. So it was
like they would it would lose the history of their purchasing, so like they would have to rebuy it.
Yeah, like it would hard reset their account.
Man.
So it was and if you go do like a basic internet search, you can see some of these messages that people were sent, and they're like random gibberish. Like a couple of them said like haha or something, and there was a couple emojis, and then another one said just a random string of letters that made absolutely no sense twice, and it would brick people's PlayStations.
Dang. Sony, better get your shit together. I'm not saying other platforms can't be attacked like this, but oh well, it's another excuse for me to throw shade on Sony. Hey, give me 2 seconds, huh?
I mean, if they're that easily hacked, shade can be thrown.
I mean, this happened only a few months ago. Like a similar problem.
Give me get a couple games out of it.
Hey,
bro.
Oh, there is a mysterious kitten in my midst.
It's trying to figure out what's going on with all these lights.
I mean, with any luck, she'll get hopefully not knock anything over.
I can see that being disastrous, especially with collectibles.
Yeah, I usually keep the office closed, but oh well. Anyway, dude, I think we'll just kick this little thing off, kind of, since I kind of don't have a specific direction. I've got a few ideas, but well, that being said, here we go. I need another sip.
Oh, another sip?
Are you sipping on anything? Oh, hey. Tink.
It's doing
what are you sipping on? You got a flavor thing there going on?
It's just cranberry this time.
Oh, like the vodka itself is cranberry?
Yeah.
for anyone listening or caring, I am drinking of the Pyramid brand with their Outburst series, the Imperial IPA. It's actually very strong in its content, but super smooth, actually. I'm digging it. Super smooth. Well, as it is just the two of us, I guess we'll just jump right in and start.
Just the two of us.
Having some nerdy conversations.
We can make it if we try.
Layer in the soundtrack. Alright, that being said, welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I am your host, Joe Tweetin, and co-hosting this little shindig tonight alongside me is the Mr. Lynn Dungeon.
Oh yeah, I'm back again.
Back again. How's it going, sir?
Been a long week, but it has been for everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say same here. And because of that long week, that's also why we are absent half our crew. The Mr. Nick Thomas is in the process of moving into a new house. And the Mr. Matthew Johnson is spending some personal time with family. I think it's a anniversary for him and the wife. So, but he did go see Venom. At least that's what he told us. And so he'll have something to share with the crew upon next reconvening.
Early spoilers warning. You've been warned.
Yeah, so just heads up there.
Unless his drops first, and then, hey, I'm a little late.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. But in light of our shift this fall, because we've been teasing this for a while about trying to go. I'm not completely moved in, guys. We've got a special 2-year anniversary situation going on. I've got things I'm in the process of packing and moving, in case you're wondering about what's going on with this crazy background. I'm going to have an officially new updated nerd cave, if you will, the Nerdentials studio of sorts, where anytime you guys are not floating around in satellite style, you'll be sitting in the same room with me whenever we do, special events like our 2-year anniversary. We got some plans going on coming up, so I'm going to hype that up for all you listeners out there. I know Lynn's got the whole excited, animated look on his face. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I'm imagining...
It's going to be good.
It's going to be fun. I'm imagining that our viewers and listeners are showcasing similar facial reactions. Or maybe they're just being thoughtful and like, okay, are we gonna move forward? We're gonna start talking about nerdy shit yet? Come on. But I do have to throw a couple more things out there. With this move coming close to completion by the end of October, I would say, we plan on being a weekly nerd show for all you listeners, all you nerdy followers out there. That goes for the YouTubes and the podcastings. You guys are going to see us in both places where we've always been, but on a weekly basis. That's what we're pushing for. And so by the last week of October, you're going to start getting a weekly episode from us, one way or another. That's also why just the two of us, me and Lynn, are recording tonight, is to continue pushing that consistency for you guys.
Goals, man. Goals.
Gotta have them, right?
Oh yeah.
We're striving for a Monday release so you can start your week fresh with the nerds. We're gonna see. We're all family guys. We've got a lot of, we do other jobs for a living, unfortunately. But to the best of our ability, we're going to try to get these things up at the beginning of the week, Mondays or Tuesdays. once you guys start seeing them roll out regularly, we'll start advertising a locked down day. But expect us early each week. I think that's the goal. Goals. Yes, Lynn.
Next time I come and visit, we should do a get Nick and Matt to come hang out, and we do like a Let's Play Munchkins, and we go through my giant collection.
Yes, that would be awesome, dude. That's
gonna be a ton of fun.
I would. There's a good chance that would be a full raw episode. Just everything goes, just because of the kind of game that is.
Right.
Anyway,
maybe we could even get the ladies on it.
I think some of them would be down for that. Honestly,
get a big group in. It would be a pretty wicked episode.
Maybe we'll go multicam on that. Maybe capture several angles of that. I mean, because there's going to be so many cards and players.
You have the space now.
I do have the space now. Yeah. By the time this episode airs, guys, the Nerdentials studio, my future office will be fully set up. So we'll have more opportunities to do tabletop games, card games, video games, let's plays, review videos, dude. Everything I've been promoting for like the last 2 years since we started. We're actually gonna
finally.
You're actually gonna start seeing more of that. So I'm actually like I've always held back on hyping things up because I didn't know if I could deliver, but I'm kind of getting myself excited because I have the opportunity to help us deliver that kind of stuff going forward. So I'm feeling good. Both about the goals, and the beer is kind of settling in nicely at this late hour on an empty stomach. Cheers.
And that unicorn is very pink.
Yeah, I'll zoom in real quick. You viewers on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, take a gander at this beautiful poster I have in the background. Let's just say there's Deadpool and a lot of pink going on, and maybe a unicorn. But you guys got to go to YouTube to find out exactly what I'm describing right now, because it's amazing. I'm just gonna say that right now. In the dialogue bubbles, it's Deadpool is saying, "Best poster ever."
Is that like Godzilla down there?
Almost.
Some form of monster that's going after Deadpool.
Shout out to you 90s kids who grew up watching Rugrats. It kind of looks a little bit like Reptar, but I'm going to probably go for... I know, deep cuts. I'm going to go for probably more like Godzilla, but I thought Reptar when I first saw it, especially with the pink. Yes, Deadpool and pink.
They probably... I'd say more Reptar than Godzilla.
Just the way he looks. He looks like a violent version of Reptar, if we're being honest.
Hey, I'll take it. I mean, everything's got to grow up, and Reptar needs to anyway.
Right? I mean, it's only been 20 years, so it's time for him to get a little more adult, right?
Right.
Well,
and bring back Double Dare.
Yes. Was it Mark Summers? Was that the host?
Yeah.
We at some point we should do some era-based episodes, and the 90s would be a fun one to hit up.
That would just even further date both of us and Nick and Matt.
I mean, I've got friends that like the 80s doesn't seem that old, but when you look at the fact that it's 2018, and you're like, and then you start doing the math, you're like, holy crap. Okay, well,
right.
even the 90s is now further back than we'd like to admit.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's do, now that we've jabbered on, we've hyped up our listeners about the future of Nerdentials, and it's a late hour and it's just you and me. I've got a couple things I'd like to share that I've been watching, and I think maybe this would be a good opportunity to do that. I know half the crew's missing, but we are trying to push consistency, guys. So, it's a shorter cast. Let me throw in that beautiful audio bit for TV Talk. No whooshing.
That beautiful TV Talk audio.
That TV Talk bean footage. Question, side note. What does it mean when someone says, roll that beautiful bean footage?
Like, okay.
What in the hell does that mean?
So, you know that commercial with the golden retriever for bushes? And how there's that just ambient, like, shot of a giant stock pot full of beans, like baked beans with bacon in it, and, like, smothered in sauce.
Is that where it's coming from?
Either that or it's, like, just footage that they've shot in the past that's just chilling there that they could use for future, shots.
So,
one of the two.
So to be fair and honest with our listeners and myself, you don't actually have a specific idea of where that comes from. You're just kind of guessing. Yep, am I right?
I'm pulling it in the air. Like, I imagine beautiful bean footage just to be like a shot of something with like a bright glow around it, and it's just like slow-mo, and you're just, oh yeah. Like when you pressure wash something, and it's super, super dirty, and then just as you slowly move the pressure washer across, it's magically clean. But you do it in slow-mo, and there's like a golden glow to everything. That beautiful bean footage.
Thank you for that. I like how you just kind of pulled that literally straight out of your ass, out of somewhere. We're gonna leave it at that. You pulled it out of thin air. But
whatever,
if I did,
was beautiful.
But if I didn't know that, I would just think that you know exactly what you're talking about.
I am not good at bullshitting.
In this moment, I feel like you are, and it could be the beer talking, but we're gonna forget about it. All right.
Hey.
Now that 60-second plus long tangent is over with, here is TV Talk. Here we go. Hey guys, this is TV Talk, and today, or this morning, whenever you're clicking on this video or hitting play on that podcast, we're here to share a few things this week about shows we've been watching or series. For me, I'm gonna probably go ahead. What?
I've only got probably like one show, and then I've been doing a bunch of like spooky games with the kids.
Nice. You can touch on that then when we swing to that part.
Okay.
I'll throw this out there. I haven't talked to the crew, about what I've been diving into lately, but I have finally been making the trek into catching up on all the... You know how I've been making a list of, like, everyone's like, oh, you need to check this out. I'm like, let me add it to the list of shows I need to watch or catch up on.
Yeah, the backlog.
The backlog. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just when I'm sharing some of my thoughts and feelings on each season of these different shows that I burn through, I'll keep them brief, and then when I finally get completely caught up, maybe we'll do like a Marvel Netflix series deep dive, and then maybe a CW DC superhero deep dive. But until I get to that point,
Rick and Morty.
yes, no, that absolutely is coming first. And Matt, like he said in the previous recordings, I've got him in. He's checking them out, so we'll see if he starts cruising through them. If he's like legitimately watching through them,
Buckles down and powers through it.
yeah, if he starts powering through it, we'll get that episode out sooner than later. But for now, and we will absolutely, whether he's caught up or not, if we get an announcement that season 4 is finally coming, we're gonna do that deep dive with or without him. We haven't heard anything yet. We're still holding out. We haven't heard anything yet, but we know something is in the works right now. Anyway, no, but here's the thing I've been doing, sir, is I've been binging to the best of my ability, starting from the very beginning. I mentioned on our Discord, links in the description, guys. Join the chat. I mentioned in our Discord to someone that I had just started season 1 of Daredevil.
Oh.
Or cheering, or however you want to look at it.
There's no boo. It's a show. People.
No, not booing the show, but booing my, like, what is it? 4 years later, I'm just now starting it. That's what I'm getting at. But booing the host of the Nerdentials for not being so stinking far behind. The only thing I can admit to, guys, is that there's just been so much good TV in the last 2 years. It's been hard to find my way through all of it and catch up on stuff that should already have been watched. That being said, I'll make these brief, but and I'll get in more in depth because I would like to cross reference. I know Matt and Nick. I don't know how much you've seen or how much you've caught up on, Lynn, with either of those series, the Netflix original Marvel stuff or the CW DC comic stuff. Not much. You don't really get into any of it?
Jessica Jones is probably the one that I've delved the deepest into.
Okay, that's actually my next one up, because what I've vowed to do to myself as a personal challenge is I want to watch all these shows relatively in chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they're all available and I might find myself more attached to one over the other, I'm going to fight through some of the lesser amazing stuff because I want to kind of take it all in the way everyone else has. So, for example, with the Marvel Netflix stuff, they came out full seasons at a time, so that's easy to do. You just binge one season at a time. But I'm doing Daredevil season 1, which I finished. I'll say this: I finished Daredevil season 1.
Nice.
Quick highlight thoughts. Amazing. I loved it. First couple episodes a little slow, but nothing. Once I started the pilot, I was hooked already, and it's one of those things where I look back and I'm like, why the hell did I not jump in back when it was talked about when it first came out? You know, don't know why. It's just circumstantially I just didn't get into it at the time. But going back to it and being able to just rock it through it, I watched all 13 episodes. It was nice, heavy, and dark, like everyone's fully aware of. And the hallway scene that everyone always talks about in season 1 was incredible. It was well choreographed. It was almost as cool as the first time you saw the camera trick they did with Trinity with the Matrix of going 360 around a person, pre-CG, back when it wasn't CG, but it was a camera trick. So I would like to say, similarly, the hallway scene of Daredevil, Matt Murdock, fighting a bunch of guys trying to get to this one kid in this hallway, was really well shot, beautiful, just incredible. Like the choreographing, the fighting, the camera just kind of going in and out and all around him as he's knocking these guys out. It's just really well done, and it's one thing that a lot of people praise season 1 for. And I liked the way it ended. The only thing that, I guess because I expected it to happen, is why I wasn't as like, oh, at the end when, and because this is 4 years ago, I'm not worried about spoilers or anything, so heads up, guys. If you're late to the party like me, I'm spoiling a few things, but when he dons the basic Daredevil suit for the first time in the last episode, I liked it, but I didn't get as excited as maybe I should have been. I guess because I kind of just got used to his black outfit and just the makeshift hood. I don't know, but the season 1 as a whole was incredible. And as far as like Netflix series go, I would probably throw it up at probably a 9 out of 10 for my personal rating.
So
I don't know what a 10 looks like for Netflix series, so I got to give it a 9, which means it's really flipping incredible to me.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Lynn?
I was gonna ask. So that one hallway scene that everybody raves about, does the cinematography carry through? Like, is there more?
No cuts. Zero cuts, dude.
No. I'm not.
Oh, go on.
I'm saying it's not just isolated to that one instance. Does the cinematography through the whole season carry through and possibly go on to the next? Because if that's the case, I am a sucker for good cinematography.
Okay, I'll say this: the cinematography in general across the whole season is decent. I won't say it's incredible like that one scene, because that's why it's a standout scene, because there's no cuts. It's a continuous, fluid, choreographed scene. But what kind of pulls it together, it's a combination of the camera work and the choreographed fights. Like the one thing that Iron Fist gets slammed over compared to what the actor went through for Daredevil season 1 is the fact that they spent more time. It's noticeable that more time was spent in training for those fight scenes for Daredevil than what fans experienced with Iron Fist season 1.
Okay.
People say they post pre-production, everything happened super fast, way faster than Daredevil, and a lot of critics feel like the fighting in Iron Fist 1 isn't nearly as good as Daredevil season 1.
Here's a question I posed to you.
Okay.
Now you say the choreography between the two was kind of missing in Iron Fist. Do you think it could have been made up for with cinematography? Like with good camera work? Or was it just really that bad? Because I haven't had time to go through and watch Iron Fist. But
I watched the first 6 episodes of Iron Fist, and I was more than satisfied with what I saw. Now you gotta understand, I've been given, like, at least the last 2 years, I've heard people gush about their experience with Daredevil. You know what I mean? It's been out long enough, and they're now coming into their 3rd season this year. Or it's out now. Season 3 is out now for binging. That it's been out long enough that I have heard all the critiques. I've heard all the fandom for it, the praises for season 1 and how well the fighting and that the actor trained for it and all this blah blah blah. So I went into
Yeah.
I went into it with higher expectations. I didn't have a blank slate going into it. I was like, okay, let's see how good it really is. And in my opinion, it actually held up even with going in with expectations. You know, usually you get let down when you go in and it's things have been so hyped over and you're like,
Yeah.
great. Everyone's raving about it. Am I gonna feel the same way as everyone else now that it's been out for 3 years and I'm gonna see it for the first time? And I can safely say yes. Daredevil, at least that the fighting in general was great throughout the whole season, but that particular hallway scene that people talk about, it, in my opinion, even going into it expecting to see good things, I was still surprised at how good it was. Now with Iron Fist, I heard some of the negativity towards it, and so I went into Iron Fist feeling the negative feedback from the fans. I went into it knowing it was looked at negatively, and I still what I'm saying is I still enjoyed Iron Fist, knowing people felt negatively towards it.
Okay, so you had kind of the sympathy of, you knew that it was going to be a little tough, but
I knew it would possibly be rough to watch because of what people said, and I was still pleasantly surprised that I didn't think it was as bad as everyone was saying it was.
Okay, so you basically really just can't you can't go into people's opinions on Iron Fist. You got to go into it with a clear mind.
Yeah, and you having not seen it yet, I would say if you give it a chance, or anyone else out there listening to us talking about it who's completely shied away from even trying it because of how much crap people have crapped on it, I would say ignore all that crap and go in with a blank mind and just kind of watch it for what it is and make your own judgment on it. You know what I mean? Try to avoid people's opinions when going into it. But
now most of the opinions you had were based on people who had read into or had access to the comic books, correct?
Yeah, like from like legit fans of what the show's based off of. You hear their outcries about how. I mean, what are we talking about? Are you referring to just both shows or Iron Fist particularly?
Just specific Iron Fist, I guess, at this point. I don't want to go too far into it, but
right, yeah, no.
The people that you were getting opinions from were people who were going based off of what they've seen in the comic books.
So I will lay out two very brief points that should be really clear for people to understand where my perspective comes from. I went into Iron Fist knowing two things about it. One, people had disagreements with the casting because of comic book canon. So we've had that kind of conversations with many different shows, us as Nerdentials, and so that's an easy thing to see. And for me, I am usually very open to casting differences that aren't completely canon. I'm usually willing to at least try a show, even if it's dramatically different, and see if the acting and the story and everything holds together. And if it still entertains me, I'm willing to accept the alternate version of that show compared to the canon that it comes from. Now, the second perspective I have going into a show, specifically Iron Fist, is what critics and fans felt about the actual performance, not the canon of the story or characters, but how that character performed, acting and in fighting. So you've got the canon of your show and where it comes from, and then you've got the performance and cinematography of what the show displayed. Those are the two perspectives I go into hearing what's being criticized about both. I went in and disagreed with most people on both ends. People were saying stuff about racial casting being wrong, being incorrect, or whitewashing Iron Fist. I'm not going to go into the details of that. I just know that that was something people complained about, and it did not affect my opinion on the show at all. And then other people criticized the performance, the fighting, the training of the actor himself, and some of the cinematography. That combination was also criticized, and I disagree with a lot of people. I overall enjoyed the first 6 episodes of Iron Fist. I haven't finished it yet, and because I haven't finished it yet, I started with Daredevil Season 1, and now I'm on this binge spree of watching these shows in chronological order that have been out for over 4 years now, and I'm trying to play catch up. So I will be delivering my brief excerpts and brief criticisms each episode going forward in Nerdentials till I'm completely caught up.
Sweet.
So I've given you Daredevil Season 1. I loved it. 9 out of 10. I'm going to give you... I'm going to switch over to you to kind of change up the pacing and tone of our show tonight and let you give me a brief spiel on something.
All right, that works. Like the only thing that I've really been able to get into lately was I got super nostalgic for old Fooly Cooly, which is an anime, and so
So you started getting nostalgic for old Fooly Cooly.
old Fooly Cooly, and I decided to go back and watch like the first episode with the kids because it's a little more tame than the rest of the season.
Even though it's an over-the-top anime?
Yeah. I mean, there's not too much that's bad in it. I mean, there's a little bit of violence. Naruto gets hit in the head with a guitar a couple times, but
yeah,
and then run over with a Vespa, but that's about it.
How's that all? Psh.
Yeah, that's all. But and then I was watching with the boys, and the boys really, I don't know, they just. I think what grabbed them was what grabbed me to the series, and that's the music. It has an amazing soundtrack to the whole season, and I gotta say, they kept the band, the Pillows, into the new seasons.
Man, just a reminder, you gushed about the sound. It must really be good. Because you gushed about it last time we talked about Fooly Cooly.
That is the thing that makes that series. It's not only the soundtrack, but it's the timing of the songs, and it's just it's perfect. They do an excellent job of. I mean, they've got a wicked sound artist.
Yeah, they
I
must.
have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, their script is good, and their art design is good, but the sound just it rises above the rest.
It sells it for you.
Oh yeah, I'm a sucker for a good soundtrack. I really am.
Dang it, Lynn, I'm gonna have to actually get amongst all the crazy amounts of binging I'm trying to do to catch up on things. I'm going to have to take Fooly Cooly seriously and give it a shot. Where can I find season 1 right now?
Well, it was on Crunchyroll, but I think Funimation is splitting off from Crunchyroll. So
they were like tied together?
Yep, they were tied together, and I saw something recently where Funimation is splitting off from Crunchyroll, so you have to find it. I think Funimation has their own streaming site now. And then there are always those underground streaming sites that if you look not very hard for, just Google it. You can catch it there.
Right.
Because It's such an old series, and I mean, Toonami played it back when Toonami was on air, and then Adult Swim played it, and it ran through its cycles on both. And
Fair enough.
it's a good one. I mean, people wouldn't keep picking it up and putting it back down and picking it up again.
There must be a reason to watch it, so I'm gonna have to give that first episode a shot. That first 2 or 3 episodes, who knows? How long does the show run? Is it about a half-hour series, or?
Yeah, it's about half hour.
About.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
can...
And you got going into it. It is one of the more over the top, like just ridiculous ones. It's not like
I would go into it knowing that because I've read the descriptions and heard what fans have said about it. Yeah.
Like if you get into something like Darker Than Black, that's more of like a crime drama, like superpower kind of thing.
Yeah, I've actually watched the pilot of Darker Than Black.
Yeah,
it's not bad. It's definitely different.
It's like Fooly Cooly, Paranoia Agent, and there's a few others that are all on the same page where it's just really over the top, and that's kind of something that I'm into, is the over the top.
I like it. Some of it's got its place for sure, and yeah, definitely could find myself craving some of that from time to time.
Oh yeah. And if not for the show, just the music.
Yeah, clearly a selling point once again.
Yep.
Switching over to another show. Like I said, I'm going to make a couple of these brief because that Daredevil Iron Fist thing was a bit of a tangent, but never fear, no big deal. I do have a couple more to mention that I'll mention in a briefer format right now.
Okay.
That I'm cruising through and catching up on. So, brief backstory on things regarding the CW. So we're switching over to DC side of superhero shows. I got into Smallville back in 2001. That's when it aired, and I followed faithfully through that show all the way up until its final season in 2010 or 2011. Good God, there's 10 seasons, 288 episodes. Never thought and shortly after, like at the very tail end of that season, CW fired up a new show called Arrow at the time. That they had an Arrow in Smallville starring Justin Hartley, who is now on the NBC show This Is Us. He's gone on to do other greater things drama-wise. I thought he was a great Arrow Oliver Queen at the time, but I saw their CW was going in a different direction with this, and they hired Stephen Amell to play this version of Arrow. And I watched the first couple episodes. I thought it was great at the time. Back in, I want to say 2012 is when this aired. I thought it was kind of like I thought it was kind of like a kind of an alternate. I mean, I know Arrow and the Batman are very similar as far as, they're both billionaires. They both use their money to become vigilantes. They both have very different backgrounds as far as what led them to this, chain of life. But that being said, the angle the CW was taking with Arrow, I was like, oh, this is kind of very Batman-esque. I like this. Next thing you know, I'm telling Matt, I'm like, Matt, dude, you gotta start watching this. And I hooked him up with season 1, and he took off with it. He kept just watching, and then some reason I got into other things, and I don't know why I fell off. I will say this though, I've watched all of season 1 now. Now that I'm revisiting because this is what we're talking about, is I'm going back through some of these shows and trying to watch them chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I started season 1 again, watched more than half of it, and again, distracted by so many other new shows coming out in 2017 that I fell off of Arrow. Arrow just wasn't holding me strongly enough to keep me to stick with it. Finally, now we're in 2018, and I'm hearing about all these CW crossovers and the CW getting Supergirl from NBC or ABC. Was trying to make it work for a season 1. The ratings weren't good enough, so they cracked a deal with CW and gave it to Warner Brothers. Boom, that's where it should be. Whatever, and but the point is that the CW at that point now had 4 shows, and they did what we love seeing in comic books. They did a freaking crossover between their 4 series that were currently going on last year, which was Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, and Edge of... that's a movie. What's the other one? Legends of Tomorrow. Time-traveling superheroes. We got like the Atom and a handful of others. Kind of like the B-list of the Justice League. You know what I mean? And serialized. And all of those shows are doing really well, and they started doing crossovers, and I just got to a point where I'm like, I don't know why Arrow isn't hooking me strongly enough to keep me sticking with it, but I'm going to force myself to stick with it and see where's the magic sauce in this? What am I missing? So I got to the end of season 1, and holy crap, dude. Like, we've gotten so used to streaming services going only 8, sometimes 13 episodes for a season. And you go back to, like, prime television, and you realize, holy crap, the CW still tries to pump out over 20 episodes a season. And, yeah, inherently, with a 20-episode season, you're going to come across what a lot of us would call filler episodes. Stuff that's not... It's kind of like background, backstory, character development, whatever you want to call it.
Slow.
Slow. And I think some of those filler episodes is what led me to fall off a couple times. Mm-hmm. All I know is I got to the end of season 1, and it was that's what the CW does. Is they take the last 2 or 3 episodes of a season, and they start building to something really insane and epic, and then they drive it into like an incredible cliffhanger, and that's how they bring you back, for the next season. Yeah. So I will say right now, season 1 of Arrow, man, I want to give it higher remarks, but as a season as a whole, I gotta maybe put it at a 7. In that it's like, I strongly recommend investing in it, because season 2 really starts picking up steam. I've got 3 episodes left of season 2 as of right now. I'm almost, and it's starting to get really flipping epic again. It's like doing that. There's a few slow episodes in season 2, as is expected with the length of the season, but man, it's getting epic. The drama's unfolding. People's secrets are unfolding. The things are just getting heavy and epic, and I'm really enjoying it. Again, guys, sorry about the spoilers, but they're entering into their 7th season, so I'm the one that's behind. You guys shouldn't be. But season 2 they've introduced Deathstroke. They had an episode and a half where they featured the Suicide Squad, some B-list characters of the Suicide Squad. They actually did have Deadshot, which in the movies is played by Will Smith. they didn't get Will Smith for the CW. So, but this is season 2, 2013. This came out before Suicide Squad the movie came out. So
Bargain Barrel Will Smith.
Yeah, they've got Amanda Waller, and you hear Harley Quinn's voice in one of the cell blocks, but they didn't show her, so they're like teasing, like that Jersey accent, the hey puddin', that whole Harley Quinn accent. She was like made a comment while in the jail cells while they were recruiting the others. That was a fun moment. Again, spoiler warning, Oliver Queen's mom. The episode I'm on right now is so flipping epic. I want to get Matt's cross-examining thoughts on my reactions since he's all caught up on the CW and I'm not. But freaking Oliver Queen's mom just got stabbed by Deathstroke, a.k.a. Slade Wilson. Oh my god! So much stuff is happening in season 2, and I'm 4 seasons behind. But I'm so excited because the other weird thing that happened with me is I went ahead and gave like The Flash a shot like last year. I jumped into it. Yeah. And then they started making... in the pilot episode, he's meeting up with Oliver Queen, the Arrow, in the Flash pilot season. And at that moment, like, he's just having a brief talk with him on a rooftop about being a hero and maybe he needs a mask. In that moment, they're doing a very brief little crossover between the two shows, and I'm like, oh, crap. Like, the CW is really trying to do the comic book thing here, where they're really trying to, do cameos, crossovers. I'm like, well, me. I don't want to just watch, like, the comic book fan in me doesn't just want to watch the show that I'm most attracted to. I want to put the investment into all the shows because I want to really experience, like, the actual emotional draw that those connections make later down the road when they happen. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, let me just put it this way. Like, I watched the first few episodes of The Flash, like, last year, and now so tightening things up, so I'm not sounding confusing. Arrow went through 2 seasons, and then The Flash premiered. And I hadn't watched any of the Arrow up to that point, but I jumped into The Flash, and it's still an enjoyable, incredible show, even by itself. But now that I'm almost caught up with Arrow leading into The Flash, there's a whole episode where Barry Allen, The Flash, visits Green Arrow as like a forensics detective, like trying to help them solve a case, and he's not The Flash yet. Like, the CW started making connections and like plot connections with other characters that I'm like, so there's an investment in CW shows that you don't get from, like, necessarily other networks. So, anyway, all that to say, I've rambled way too long on this. That's kind of all I wanted to summarize, guys, is I'm binging CW shows now and Marvel Netflix original series. But I will say this, as far as, I think the CW definitely kind of has it in the bag as far as creating those long-term emotional investments by making these connected, woven stories between series that if you're sticking around for all of it, you're gonna enjoy so much more when those connections are made. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like getting the backstory on any other show. Like, if you could just jump in with Doctor Who where it's at now, but if you've been there for the whole road, you get those references. Same, any show, like
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who's a great, like, what I'm talking about is a good one. As far as, like, something more simple, like if you guys want something more comical, sitcom-y, something that's great to go binge and go revisit, and I'm sure Lynn can think of a handful of shows, I would say How I Met Your Mother has probably one of the greatest, like, interconnected, Easter egg woven callbacks to all previous. Like, if you're with it every season, you instantly become a fan, not just because the show is endearing and lovable, but the fact that the show constantly crawls back into its own meta, and it revisits things, and it calls back things, and there's Easter eggs and ongoing jokes. That's got to be one of the longest running comedy sitcoms that I've ever truly invested in because of that. Like, almost solely because of how it connects itself to itself. It's incredible. Anyway, I will say The Arrow is a 7, season 1, and season 2 is shaping up to be an 8, almost 9 right now with how crazy it's getting to its conclusion. And I like I said, I'm gonna go forward, and as soon as I finish this, I'm jumping into season 1 of The Flash again, because that's the chronological order. And as far as Marvel goes, I'm gonna hit up Jessica Jones season 1, because that was the very next show they launched after Daredevil season 1.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm gonna do Jessica Jones. Why, are you suggesting something else? I mean, I'm gonna do that, but
no. It's just that's like the one. Like I've actually gone through season 1 of Jessica Jones.
Right, you were giving it high praise as far as like you enjoyed it out of the other shows.
Yeah, Robin and I definitely enjoyed Jessica Jones.
See, dude, that I'm excited to check it out. That's the next one up on my list.
And that thing that you posted in Discord today, I was kind of like, oh, that sucks.
On which, what part? The
season 3 of
Luke Cage and Iron Fist both got canceled this week.
Yeah.
I was like, what? However, Daredevil has been renewed for the third season's already out, and pretty sure I don't. Everyone gave Jessica Jones high praise. I mean, hopefully that one sticks around too. I think
nice.
They did say though in the article I read, they did mention that the actors will still have opportunities to like reprise their roles in like other shows. Netflix just didn't feel that there was enough views or ratings to justify doing. Oh, I guess with Luke Cage, very interesting side note in news at the end of our episode here, but I guess Netflix didn't like the creative directions that the scripts being written for Luke Cage season 3 were. They didn't like several sample scripts had been written up, and Netflix didn't like how they were, and so Netflix, like, there was disagreements with the creative direction that they wanted to take Luke Cage, and so Netflix is like, no, the ratings aren't strong enough for us to justify, you know what I mean, like the view counts or whatever aren't strong enough for us to justify letting you guys take it in this direction, and we don't like that direction, so we're going to cancel it. I mean, I'm not quoting, but that was the generalized dispute.
Yeah.
Is they had a disagreement with creative direction, and Netflix was like, Banhammer! We're gonna cancel your shit. And apparently, similarly, that happened with Iron Fist. Even though I've heard a lot of fans liked season 2, even over like season 2 seemed to have done better for Iron Fist. So that's really sad. A lot of people were like, season 2 got better. They liked what they were doing with it. And now Netflix canceled it. WTF, Netflix? I don't know, man. I don't know. I know it's
There's a reason they pulled the plug, and
they're still sticking with Daredevil, and I think that's a good idea on their part. It was the most successful up to this point. It seems to be doing good season 3. And like they said, they mentioned in the article that Netflix is completely fine with like allowing Iron Fist and Luke Cage to make appearances in the other shows. They just, Netflix's didn't think it was strong enough to maintain solo series for them. I get it. That's alright, whatever. You know.
Yeah. Do you think this will be a common occurrence though, where they kind of cast the net out with multiple series and then pick and choose the ones that are successful and cancel the others?
Maybe.
But,
I mean, they kind of did that so far with the Marvel stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's go ahead.
Well, I mean, with the secondary characters like these, where they're not like, top tier A-list characters.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks that they do it that way. That they kind of throw out like a handful, and then they go, "Oh, Daredevil works, Jessica Jones works, but Iron Fist and Luke Cage kind of fell short, so we'll cancel those two and keep these others."
Well, and on a side note, we still haven't heard anything yet from the Punisher, because that they did do a season 1 of Punisher.
Yeah.
And there's no news yet on a season 2, so that's kind of up in the air at the moment.
Which is, I've
know.
heard nothing but good from the Punisher.
But I heard it was a slow burn, but that was like the only nitpick. I only heard good things about it.
True. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see where that one goes.
I'm very curious about it. Well, guys, it has been fun rambling about TV things we've been watching. I look forward to seeing, Matt and Nick's responses to my ratings on those CW Marvel shows. And I definitely need to check. Fooly Cooly. It is late. Fooly Cooly, the anime. I will personally check that out amongst my list of binging and catching up on other things. Did you have anything you were gonna say, Lynn?
Well, I was just gonna say, be ready for either some praise or some shade from the two of them.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves in a variety of opinions here. Yeah. But with that, guys, I guess this is just a regular length episode. We thought it'd be shorter, but I guess we had more to ramble about tonight than usual, even though it's just the two of us. I've watched some other shows, but we'll wait for the rest of the crew to dive into those. You and me and Nick. I don't know if Matt's watched it yet, but we need to dive in a little bit into Sherlock.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
The BBC Sherlock. We need to do some Rick and Morty deep diving. And I don't know.
There's quite a few.
There's a handful of shows that we will, as a group, we need to convene upon.
We have some laundry hanging on the line that we got to get through the list.
Yep, and the wind is a little light right now, so we'll wait till it gusts through again.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, I plugged some of the stuff at the beginning, but just a little housekeeping for the end of the episode. Google search Nerdentials, and I guarantee you'll find us. All our social media links, all our extended content, videos, podcasts can all be found in one convenient location, nerdentialsmedia.com. Nerdentials Media, guys. Go type that in. It'll take us straight to all our good stuff. Our primary social links are going to be the Facebook, Instagram, and Twitters. And the podcast is hosted there, and even the YouTube videos. That being said, guys, today, or this morning, This has been
fun.
It's been fun. This has been your Nerdy Essentials. And for me and Lynn. Hey. We will see you guys on the other side.
On the other side.
There's no internet issue with that delay. That was the most epic. That was the most epic of delays.